Let's get more on the 27th anniversary of the handover from China, obviously, Hong Kong's future. Joining us now is Hong Kong Democratic Party member Emily Lau, and she's also a former Hong Kong lawmaker. And also with us is Patrick Yeung, CEO of the Hong Kong General Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for joining us in this half-circle roundtable. Okay, so 27 years on. I've been here 33 years. I first moved to Hong Kong. I've seen a lot of change. What do you think? Same question to both of you. What is the biggest change 27 years on after 1997? Emily, maybe I'll start with you.
Well, many of my party colleagues and friends are in prison as we speak, and some have been there for a number of years, not even finished with their trial. This is something that Hong Kong people are not that used to. We hope that Hong Kong will have the rule of law, independence of the judiciary, a free and vibrant civil society where people can march, can assemble, can demonstrate, like we have done for many, many times since 1997. But all those things have disappeared. And many civil society groups have either dissolved, or they are in prison, or have fled overseas. My party is probably one of the very few that are still left remaining here, but we were not allowed to take part in elections last year. So I think the important part about one country, two systems is the diversity, the tolerance of different views, rule of law, freedom of speech, freedom of conscience, freedom of association, freedom of expression. I'm pleased that Bloomberg is able to have this discussion. I hope you won't get into trouble. Don't be scared, my friend.
No, not at all. Again,
well, I hope so too.
We covered all the protests very fairly, giving all sides, including you. You were in Hong Kong on edge as well. Patrick, let me swing it over to you. What differences do you see, and what is needed to get the economy back on track?
Well, Hong Kong has always been a very important international business metropolis. And over the last 27 years, we have seen the beginning of one country, two system, and Hong Kong have been trying to see how Hong Kong best role to fit into this new model, which Hong Kong plays an important and integral part. Over the last 27 years, Hong Kong, obviously, it is a very small open economy. And all the things happening around the world, be it the Asia financial crisis in '98, the bubble of the internet in the year 2000, and then unfortunately SARS, and then followed by the financial tsunami in 2008, and then in 2014 we have Occupy Central, and then 2019 we have the social unrest, and the world economy has changed so much. But Hong Kong has been resilient in its way, trying to come back every time all these world changes is affecting Hong Kong. And I see that Hong Kong Road as a connector has always been a very successful middleman. And under this one country, two system, you see that the stock market, when back in 1997, we have only 600 listed companies. And now we have close to 2,700. In terms of market capitalization, in 1997, it was 3.2 trillion, and now it's a tenfold, 32 trillion. And you look at foreign companies having their headquarters both in mainland and overseas. The number of these companies back to 2001, about 4,000 something, and we have 9,000. And again, I mentioned about this important role of Hong Kong being the connector. The number of mainland companies which had headquarters back in mainland but have established in Hong Kong and leveraging on Hong Kong advantages to go overseas international, the number has grown from 70 to 290, close to 300. And you also see that the foreign companies, including the Japanese, UK, the American companies, still maintain a very strong presence in Hong Kong. So from a business perspective, Hong Kong continue to play the very important role under this one country, two system, which are now Hong Kong, to play a very important integral part of connecting both the mainland and the rest of the world.
As a global financial hub, and as a follow-up to you, Patrick, I think we've heard, just as an example, like Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan, I'm paraphrasing what he said, but effectively for the bank itself, from a risk perspective, they look at Hong Kong and mainland China as one. And I'm wondering whether the perceived proximity to Beijing from a risk perspective, do you think some of these overseas companies are overthinking that, or do you think there is that rethink or reclassification in Hong Kong has its merits too?
Each organization, whether it's an American company or European company or Hong Kong company, would have to think of where would be best for their business to grow. And if you have chosen Hong Kong, Hong Kong has all the great advantage. I mentioned about the one country, two system, and then the very simple low tax rate, and then the ease of the flow of people, capital. And this allowed the business to have a very good platform it would grow the business that really matches their own strategies and objectives. They all have different considerations, no doubt, and they would have different of what product and services they would like to offer, what will be offering the best for them. And then don't forget, Hong Kong, even though have returned to the motherland for 27 years, Hong Kong is the most international in terms of, if you're specifically talking about financial, we are the biggest offshore renminbi center here. So if you compare the other cities in the mainland, some may say, oh, you're the same as Shanghai and Shenzhen.
Right.
But we are not because we have this one country system, we have very good legal system, a rule of law, of which the Western world get used to understand and have been practicing in Hong Kong even before Hong Kong returned to motherland 27 years ago.
Right. And I think you might have some thoughts, of course, on this conversation, Emily.
Well, actually, Hong Kong's in the past, our trading partners used to be the West, America and Europe and those G7 countries and so on. Now it seems we're turning to the Belt and Road countries. I don't mind. I want all kinds of people to come here. But we want to welcome people from our, traditional trading partners to come. How come those people are not coming? You just walk in the street and people kept telling me, hey, there are so few Western tourists and so on. So we want Hong Kong go back to the days when there's diversity, there's tolerance of different views, where my party and other parties, trade unions, all can exist and can demonstrate. Used to have big demonstrations on July 1st. Today, you look at the streets, they are empty, my friend. They are empty.
Emily, do you think that there is room over the next 23 years until we hit that 50-year mark of one country, two systems experiment, that the overcorrection legally that can maybe come back to the center a little bit?
My friend, I won't be around in 23 years. You will be. But I think we want the correction to come sooner rather than later. And the real thing that makes Hong Kong tick to be a vibrant and safe and free city ever since 1997 has been self-restraint on the part of Beijing. For many years, Beijing left us alone because they trusted Tung Chee-hwa and so on. And we were allowed to carry on our business. But now, in the mind of President Xi Jinping and others, the top concern is national security. Here in Hong Kong, we've got the national security law already. We got legislation on Article 23 of the Basic Law. So I want to tell the President that Hong Kong is now under control. I don't think we're going to see the chaos that we saw in 2019. And many people, they understood it. And some have already left. Others are in prison. So I think it's time for Beijing to adopt a more relaxed policy so that business can thrive. Some business people, in spite of what Patrick said, they are also worried. Even when they do research on business, that may infringe theft of a state secret. There are all these red lines which business people, professional people, politicians, journalists don't know where they are.
Well, what's the business lobby saying to the central government and also John Lee about relaxing, as Emily has just outlined?
Political developments have actually not affect Hong Kong only, but on the global basis. And that I think businesses in Hong Kong, plus the international chambers, which we continue having conversation with, they're more concerned about the world geopolitical situation rather than our own local Hong Kong political situation here. For the businesses, they are really thinking of doing business here, trying to get the biggest return to their stakeholders, shareholders. They agreed with Emily that we got a very vibrant, safe place to operate. And Hong Kong is a very safe city, and Hong Kong is very vibrant. If you look at the Americans living in Hong Kong, the numbers are actually more than before 2019. This is not my figures. This is American, the government official figures. There should be more than 86,000 Americans living in Hong Kong. So if Westerners are seeing Hong Kong not as safe, not as vibrant, not a way of doing business, purely from a business perspective, then these numbers should have dropped. The American companies, plus other companies, should also disappearing. But this is not the case. We are seeing, in particular, you mentioned about doing trade with our old partners, so-called. If you look at the first 5 month trade figures, Hong Kong have done very well. Well, some may argue that it's from low base from last year. But even taking out that low base factors, we are still at 12.5% growth to America. Obviously, the trade to the mainland is still counted number one. And that's why the importance of Hong Kong and the mainland in Hong Kong continue playing this role of being the most international city, or continue to build on the Hong Kong success and the strength of all these traditional economies, and how we're going to transform it into the new economy in welcoming a more sustainable growth.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you, like, if you took a poll among your members, do you think they'd agree or would disagree about the state of the economy being robust right now? Case in point, for example, to Emily's point, you walk around, there's not a lot of people walking around. Might be the fact that, on long weekends like this, and this is the broader conversation, Hong Kong has become a bigger part of the GBA infrastructure. So most people go north, do their spending there. In what way do you think Hong Kong businesses that cater to a local economy need to change their strategies? Because certainly things have changed from that perspective at the very least.
Yeah. I think Hong Kong is going through a very important transformation. I just mentioned about quoted some trade figures, which actually is moving into the right directions. Because other than the trade with the mainland is increasing, the trade with America is also seeing very positive sign. The other new markets that the current government have been working very hard to build up, including ASEAN, the Middle East. We see very robust growth to Malaysia and Vietnam. And Hong Kong is still by large the very important electrical components. And then 60%, about 60 to 70% of our exports are actually electronic components. And these are continue to build a very important part. So if trade is coming back in a more normal way, and then new markets being developed, and then the new markets being developed this time, and with time, we'll be able to continue to ride on this success to move forward to the more promising new future, talking about all these AI technology, big data, etc.
But a lot. You go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, although you didn't answer my question on how the local businesses need to adapt to this reality that things are more integrated, of course, with things on the other side of the border.
Well, local business have to follow the trend.
Right.
All these trade figures are probably 90% are from the local business. And then in the budget, this year budget, the Finance Secretary put a lot of funds to help the SMEs, which constitute a big part of the economic the pillars. And many of these SMEs are not ready, or they haven't yet really got to the stage of digitization, and then how to make use of digitization to go for digitalization transformation. And this is very much needed in helping the local, the economy, to riding on the technological breakthrough, and also the support from the government to help them to move forward so that they remain competitive.
That's fair.
Emily, I mean, do you agree with some of the things that are being said here? Obviously, a lot of the innovation that was born here in Hong Kong went across the border. I mean, the future is tied to GBA, or can Hong Kong be what it was?
Well, I'm not against, being tied to GPA, or we are always part of China. But I think the important thing about Hong Kong is one country, two systems, which the other GPA cities do not have. And the leaders in Beijing kept repeating that it is very important that Hong Kong should have one country, two system up to 2047. So what is it? what is the essence of one country, two systems, which sets us apart from other cities in the GPA and in mainland China. It's the rule of law. It's freedom, it's diversity, all these things that we are losing. And a vibrant civil society would be the hallmark of such one country, two systems. So that's why. And I don't think having those things back would work against Hong Kong development. And we also want to see, people from all these countries, Southeast Asia, Middle East, coming to trade, no problem. But we want to see people who have left Hong Kong, maybe 300,000, to come back. These are our people. They are educated here. They are professional people. They are the backbone of our economy. And that's why some of the companies are suffering, because they've lost the managers, the professionals. So we have to change that. I hope the business community would not be against having a more relaxed environment.